when groups come out and criticize an agreement that they've never seen, you begin to wonder just how credible those actions are. I think they're pushing our members in places where they don't want to be. And frankly, I just think that they've lost all credibility. You know, when they pushed us into this fight to defund Obamacare and to shut down the government. Most of you know, my members know, that wasn't exactly the strategy that I had in mind. But if you'll recall, the day before the government reopened, one of the people at one of these groups stood up and said, well, we never really thought it would work. Are you kidding me?
A bipartisan budget deal passed tonight, overwhelmingly 332 to 94. This is what TV producers up on the Hill call the jailbreak video. All the congressmen, all the lawmakers getting out right after that vote. 32 Democrats voted against it, including Steny Hoyer, the Democratic whip. Also 62 Republicans voted against it. We're back with the panel. Charles, what about Speaker Boehner there and his speaking out against conservative groups like Freedom Works and Heritage Action and others?
Did you see him all carrying bags of money out of the Congress? That is a jailbreak caucus. Look, I think Boehner is right. What we had here was a matter of logic. The only choice of those who would reject the deal would be to go up until the deadline of January 15, and the only leverage Republicans would have would be to shut down the government. Well, we tried that in October. It was a disaster. And what it would have meant in January, that instead of everybody focusing on the collapse of Obamacare, the train wreck, all the stuff that we spoke about in the first segment, it would be more stories about Republican obstructionism. You'd have nice, sweet TV shots of Iowa school kids in tears over a canceled White House visit. And it would be, again, it would go against the Republicans, and you would get a change in the polls exactly as happened in October. So it would be mindless to actually reject a deal like this, which, in fact, on the merits isn't a bad one. It protects and it retains 70% of the sequester cuts over the next 2 years, and it managed without a lot of leverage. Republicans have ended the endless extension of unemployment benefits, which are meant as a stopgap and not as a way of life as it is in Europe. And that's a triumph.
Judge Freedom Works writes this. Speaker Boehner may not care about what fiscally conservative groups do, but grassroots Americans still care about what he's doing in Washington when it comes to credibility actions. Actions speak louder than words, and right now it looks like the Speaker is leading the charge for spending increases and recruiting Democrat votes in the House to help get it done.
The Speaker has demonstrated a poverty of leadership. The Speaker has demonstrated that he can only...
Wait a second, he just got 332 votes.
Well, he did get 332 votes because he got the Democrats to vote with him, and he scared and he lost the Republicans who retain the value of small government. This doesn't decrease the deficit, it adds to it. This doesn't decrease the debt, it adds to it. It spent $63 billion more than we're spending now. It obliterates the concept of the sequester, which they said was going to decrease all this stuff 2 years ago. This is an absolute fraud. They're afraid of reality. They have no sense, the Republican establishment, they have no sense of small government values that they were elected to put into law.
Juan.
Wow. Tell us how you feel.
This is basically Democrat light. There is no distinction between John Boehner and Nancy Pelosi on this.
Let me just
but
assure
what about
you
the argument that Charles makes, Judge, that holding off the government shutdown allows Republicans to focus on what they want to focus on, which is Obamacare and other things, to win elections because they need W's on the board.
It used to be a basic tenet of Republican principles: you don't spend what you don't have, and you don't go into more debt. They are spending $1.5 trillion more than they are taking in, and that is simply unacceptable. It's going to make matters far worse. That $17 trillion will be $20 trillion at this rate at the end of President Obama's term.
Listen, they're doing the right thing finally. Let me just tell you something. They're doing the right thing for the American people and for Republicans. You've just written off, by the way, the majority of the Republicans on the Hill because the majority voted for this bill.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time. We could have talked forever.
We just heard them say right in our ears.
They don't listen to me. That's it for the panel.